You can buy anything you want right now. Just tap a screen. 2 days later, it arrives at your door. And somehow, that luxury feels like a prison. There's a skill we used to have, something our grandparents understood in their bones, that vanished from American life around 1999. It wasn't stolen. We gave it away. We traded it for convenience. And now, a generation later, we're watching people dissolve into anxiety and debt because they forgot how to do something that used to be as natural as breathing. They forgot how to wait. This isn't a story about patience. Patience is a virtue, and virtues are boring. This is about survival. Because waiting, real waiting, the kind that builds empires and destroys addictions, used to be a weapon, and the people who taught us to forget it made a fortune off our amnesia. Let me take you back to a moment most people have lived but never really noticed. You're sitting at your desk. Maybe it's late afternoon. The light coming through the window has that golden quality that makes you feel like you should be somewhere else, doing something better. You open a tab on your browser. You don't even remember doing it. Muscle memory. You type in the name of a website. Maybe it's for shoes. Maybe it's for electronics. Maybe it's for something you don't even need but saw in an ad 3 days ago that burrowed into your brain like a parasite. You scroll. The dopamine starts before you even click. Your brain is already releasing the chemicals, anticipating the purchase. You find the thing. You click. The website knows your credit card number. It knows your address. It probably knows your birthday and your mother's maiden name. One click, one button. The transaction is complete in 4 seconds. Here's the moment we need to freeze. Right here. Because in those 4 seconds, something happened that would have been impossible for 99% of human history. You converted a desire into a possession without any friction. No travel, no negotiation, no waiting. The thing you wanted is already yours. It just hasn't arrived yet. But in your brain, in the part that releases serotonin and dopamine, you already own it. The pleasure is immediate. The pain, the credit card bill, that comes later, 30 days later. When the feeling is gone and you're already hunting for the next hit, this is the trap. And it was built deliberately. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back, way back, to a time when waiting wasn't a bug in the system. It was the system. And the people who understood this built something we can barely imagine today. They built wealth that lasted generations. They built self-control that looks superhuman to modern eyes. They built it because they had no choice. The world forced them to wait, and in that waiting, something unexpected happened. They became free. Let's go to rural America in 1935. The Depression is grinding people into dust. You're a farmer in Iowa. Your family has worked this land for 3 generations. You wake up before dawn. The sky is still black. You milk the cows by hand. Your fingers ache in the cold. You eat a breakfast of bread and butter if you're lucky. Then you work the fields until your back screams. You want a new pair of boots. Your current ones have holes in the soles. You can feel every rock in the road when you walk to town. So you start saving. You put aside a few cents every week. You keep it in a coffee can in the kitchen. Your wife knows about it. Your kids know about it. Everyone in the house knows that the coffee can is for boots. Not for anything else. Just boots. It takes you 6 months. 6 months of walking on rocks. 6 months of wet socks. 6 months of looking at your feet and knowing that the boots are coming, but not yet. Not today. Maybe next month. And here's the thing that nobody talks about anymore. That waiting changed you. Every week you didn't spend that money on something else. You got stronger. Every time you walked past the general store and didn't go in, you built a little bit of armor around your impulses. By the time you finally had enough money, by the time you walked into that store and bought those boots, you weren't the same person who started saving. You knew something deep in your gut. You knew that you could want something and not have it and survive. You knew that desire didn't have to be satisfied immediately. You knew that the world could tell you no, and you could accept it and keep moving. That knowledge was power. It was freedom. Because once you know you can survive without the thing you want, the thing loses its power over you. Now let's jump forward. 1955. Post-war America. The economy is booming. The suburbs are spreading across the country like a rash. Families are moving into cookie-cutter houses with white picket fences and television sets in the living room. The Depression is a memory. The war is over. America won. And now, America wants to buy things. But here's what's interesting. Even in 1955, even with the economy roaring, people still waited. You wanted a television? You saved for it. You wanted a new car? You saved for it. Credit existed. Credit cards were starting to appear, but they weren't normal yet. They weren't expected. If you told your neighbors you bought a car on credit, they'd look at you sideways. They'd wonder if you were in trouble, because debt, real debt, was still associated with failure. The Sears catalog was 3 inches thick. You could flip through it for hours. Look at all the things you could buy. Furniture, tools, clothes, toys for the kids. But you didn't buy it all. You picked one thing, maybe two. You filled out the order form by hand. You put it in an envelope. You walked to the mailbox. You dropped it in. Then you waited 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. Sometimes longer. And in that gap, that 4 to 6 week gap, something happened. Sometimes you changed your mind. Sometimes you realized you didn't actually need it. Sometimes you forgot you even ordered it. And when it finally arrived, when the mailman knocked on your door and handed you the package, it felt like Christmas, because you'd waited, you'd anticipated, you'd built up the desire over weeks. The pleasure was earned. The corporations noticed this. They didn't like it, because waiting gives you time to think, and thinking is bad for business. If you have time to think, you might realize you don't need the thing. You might realize you're being manipulated. You might decide to save your money. Every day between the desire and the purchase is a day you might escape, so they started removing the gap. First, it was faster shipping. Then it was credit cards that let you buy now and pay later. Then it was shopping malls, where you could walk in and walk out with the product in your hand the same day. Then came the internet. Then came one-click ordering. Then came same-day delivery. And now, in some cities, you can get a product delivered to your door in under 2 hours. The gap is almost gone. The time between wanting and having has been compressed to nothing. And here's the dark part. Here's the part they don't advertise. That gap was protecting you. That gap was the firewall between your impulses and your bank account. That gap gave your rational brain time to catch up with your lizard brain. The lizard brain wants. It wants now. It doesn't think about tomorrow. It doesn't care about consequences. It just wants to feel good right now. The rational brain is slower. It needs time. It needs space. It needs to ask questions. Do I really need this? Can I afford it? Will I regret this next week? Remove the gap, and the lizard brain wins every time. And once the lizard brain is in control, you're not a person anymore. You're a consumer. You're a profit center. You're a data point in a spreadsheet that some analyst in Silicon Valley is studying to figure out how to extract more money from you. Let me tell you about a man named Edward Bernays. You've probably never heard of him, but he changed your life more than almost anyone in history. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He took his uncle's ideas about the unconscious mind and weaponized them. He didn't call it manipulation. He called it public relations. He taught corporations how to sell products by bypassing logic and targeting emotion. by creating desires that didn't exist before. In 1929, he was hired by the American Tobacco Company. Women didn't smoke in public. It was considered inappropriate, indecent. The tobacco companies were losing half their potential market, so Bernays staged a protest. He hired a group of young women to march in the Easter parade in New York City. He told them to light cigarettes at a specific moment. He called the cigarettes torches of freedom. He tipped off the newspapers. The photos went everywhere. Overnight, smoking became associated with women's liberation, with independence, with freedom. Sales exploded. He did it again and again for different companies, different products. He figured out that you don't sell products by explaining their features. You sell them by linking them to identity, to status, to feelings, to things people want to be. And once you've done that, once you've connected a product to someone's self-image, they'll buy it even if it hurts them, even if it bankrupts them, even if they don't need it, because they're not buying a thing anymore. They're buying a version of themselves. This worked. It worked so well that every corporation in America copied it. The entire advertising industry is built on Bernays' playbook, and it all depends on speed, on immediacy, on removing the time between desire and gratification, because time is the enemy. Time lets people think. Time lets people realize they're being played. Fast forward to 1999. The internet is exploding. Amazon is growing. eBay is everywhere. People are starting to shop online. It's clunky. It's slow. You have to wait a week for shipping. But it's convenient. You don't have to drive to the store. You don't have to deal with crowds. You can shop in your pajamas at midnight. But 1999 is the turning point. Because that's when the infrastructure started to change. That's when the fulfillment centers started popping up in every state. That's when the algorithms got sophisticated enough to predict what you wanted before you knew you wanted it. That's when the credit card companies realized they could make more money by encouraging debt than by encouraging saving. That's when 0% financing became normal. That's when buy now, pay later stopped sounding like a scam and started sounding like a service. And here's the thing nobody talks about. It wasn't just about selling more products. It was about creating dependency. Because once you've experienced instant gratification, once you've felt that hit of dopamine that comes from one-click purchasing, going back to waiting feels like torture. It feels like deprivation. It feels like you're being punished. So you don't go back. You keep clicking. You keep buying. You keep feeding the machine. The average American now has over $6,000 in credit card debt. The number was less than half that in 1990. And it's not because people are making less money. It's because the friction is gone. The waiting is gone. The pause that used to protect us has been engineered out of existence. But here's what the corporations didn't count on. Here's the crack in the system. Some people are figuring it out. They're rebuilding the gap. They're forcing themselves to wait. And when they do, something extraordinary happens. They start to wake up. They start to see the machine for what it is, and they start to break free. There's a practice that's been around for thousands of years. The Stoics used it. Buddhist monks use it. It's called delayed gratification. But that phrase makes it sound like a discipline, like a punishment. It's not. It's a superpower. Because when you can separate wanting from having, when you can sit with desire and not act on it, you become dangerous. Dangerous to the system. Dangerous to the algorithm. Dangerous to everyone who makes money off your weakness. Here's how it works in practice. You see something you want. Could be anything. A new phone. A jacket. A gadget. The desire hits. Your brain lights up. You feel the pull. Now, here's the radical part. You don't buy it. You don't even put it in your cart. You write it down, on paper, or in a note on your phone. You write down what it is and how much it costs. Then you wait. 30 days, 1 full month, you set a reminder, and you go back to your life. Most of the time, when the 30 days is up, you don't want it anymore. The desire has faded. You've forgotten about it. Or you've realized it was never about the product. It was about the feeling you thought the product would give you. And feelings can't be bought. They never could. But sometimes, after 30 days, you still want it. The desire is still there. It's real. It's not manufactured. It's not a reaction to an ad or a moment of weakness. It's genuine. And now you can buy it. Not out of impulse, not out of manipulation, out of choice, real choice, the kind that comes from clarity instead of compulsion. This sounds simple. It is simple. But simple doesn't mean easy, because your brain is going to fight you. The lizard brain doesn't want to wait. It's going to scream. It's going to tell you that waiting is stupid, that you deserve the thing now, that life is short, that you work hard and you should treat yourself. And all of that might even be true. But the lizard brain doesn't care about truth. It cares about feeling good right now. And right now is a prison. The corporations know this. They've spent billions of dollars studying your brain. They know exactly which buttons to push. They know that if they can get you to click within the first 30 seconds, you'll buy. They know that if they can create urgency, artificial scarcity, a sense that the deal is going away, you'll panic and purchase. They know that if they can remove even one extra click from the checkout process, conversion rates go up. They've optimized every pixel of their websites to extract money from you as fast as possible. So when you force yourself to wait, you're not just building self-control. You're engaging in an act of rebellion. You're throwing sand in the gears of a machine that was built to exploit you, and the machine doesn't like it. It's going to send you emails. It's going to show you ads. It's going to remind you that the thing you wanted is still there, waiting for you, just one click away. Ignore it. Let the emails pile up. Let the ads wash over you. Let the 30 days pass, and watch what happens. Watch how the desire fades. Watch how the thing that felt urgent and necessary starts to look silly and trivial. Watch how your brain starts to rewire itself, because that's what's happening. Neuroplasticity. Every time you delay gratification, you're strengthening the neural pathways that let you control your impulses. You're building the muscle that lets you say no, and that muscle, that's the one that sets you free. There's a story from ancient Rome. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, the most powerful man in the world at the time, used to practice poverty deliberately. He'd spend days eating only bread and water, sleeping on the floor, wearing simple clothes, not because he had to, because he wanted to prove to himself that he could. He wanted to know, deep in his bones, that if he lost everything, if the empire fell, if his wealth disappeared, he'd be okay, he'd survive. And that knowledge, that certainty, made him unafraid. You can't threaten a man who knows he can live with nothing. You can't control him. You can't manipulate him. He's free. You don't have to be an emperor to do this. You just have to wait 30 days for one thing, then another, and slowly the grip loosens. The algorithm loses its power. The ads stop working. You start to see through them. You start to notice how desperate they are, how pathetic, how they're begging you to buy something you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. And then something even stranger happens. You start to enjoy the waiting. You start to savor it, because the waiting itself becomes the reward, the anticipation, the knowledge that you're in control, that you're not a puppet, that your desires don't own you, that you own them. This is the skill we lost in 1999. This is what your grandparents knew. This is what the corporations spent billions of dollars to make you forget. Because a person who can wait is a person who can't be controlled, and control is the entire game. Control is how they make money. Control is how they keep you on the treadmill, working and spending, until you die with $6,000 in credit card debt and a closet full of things you never used. But you can get off the treadmill. You can remember how to wait. You can rebuild the gap. And when you do, when you take back that space between wanting and having, you'll realize something that will change everything. You don't need most of what you thought you needed. You never did. The wanting was enough. The having was always a letdown, because the thing could never live up to the feeling you imagined it would give you. No thing ever can. So stop buying the feeling. Stop clicking the button. Stop feeding the machine. Wait, just wait. 30 days. See what happens. See who you become. See how much money you save. See how much lighter you feel. See how the anxiety starts to fade. Because the anxiety was never about not having enough. It was about the endless cycle of wanting, and you just stepped off the ride. The waiting game isn't a game at all. It's survival. It's freedom. It's the one weapon they can't take from you unless you give it away. Your grandparents knew this. Now you know it too. The question is, what are you going to do about it?